traders. I'm Dennis Dick.
And I'm Joel Elkanen. Welcome to Premarket Info.
Doing the early show for you here today, and the markets are flat. We were up 5 points a while ago, but we've pulled back, trading flat on the day. Cat cuts guidance, and the HFTs get a little bit confused. We'll talk and analyze when they did it and the after-hours action. Red Hat earnings miss. And we're going to talk about Apple, Google. We always talk about those two stocks where the pair traders like to trade them. Kramer was featuring Apple versus Google last night. We'll analyze his analysis as well. But what was interesting, Joel, this whole Caterpillar cutting guidance there last night.
Yeah, they did it at a very peculiar time. What did it hit the tape at, like 3:57?
Yeah, 3:57, I think, in 32 seconds. Headline came across and says Cat cuts 2015, not 2013, not 2014, 2015 guidance from 12 to 8 or to 12 to 18 a share. They were up at 15 to 20 a share. So I saw this headline go by, and the stock really wasn't selling off, and I'm like, well, it's kind of weird that it's 2015. I'm like, what is going on? And it was only, I saw it go by on Trade the News had the headline. They would pick it up from Reuters. But the stock, as you can see here, just chops around the last minute, basically up, down, up, down. So I think everybody was a little bit confused on it. And then after hours, on the same headline, it just tanks 2 points. So literally, you had about a 2-minute window in here where you could have sold the stock on that earnings cut and actually picked yourself up a quick 2 points.
Well, a couple things here. Number one, I think someone made a boo-boo here by putting it out at 3:57. I think maybe they were waiting for the 4 o'clock close.
Yeah.
Number one, and number two, 2015. I mean, what do they have? Fortune tellers there?
I know it's weird. It was on some slides presentation that they were giving, but regardless, it's weird that it's 2015 that they were talking about. They weren't talking about 20. So I think you had a lot of participants confused. You probably had the HFT news algorithms that we always talk about somewhat confused too, because the stock literally chopped down to about 25 cents, then it chopped up, then it chopped down, then it chopped up. There was a little bit of a buy imbalance. I'm wondering if that held it up a little bit too. See, what happens in the last couple of minutes of trade is you have a lot of different participants trading for different reasons. You have institutions that are sending what are called MOC orders, market on close orders, and there was a few of those that were to the buy side. And then you have high frequency traders that actually arbitrage the closing price against these MOC orders, and they would have been buying it up just a little bit. And then you have the high frequency news algorithms coming in, and they're probably wanting to sell it down because the stock just literally cut guidance with 2 minutes to go, and it all thickens up in there. So it's kind of a battle between the MOC buy orders, institutions, high frequency arbors, and the high frequency news algos that just got this information, plus some human beings. Even like I knew some traders too that were like, why isn't this selling off? And they actually did sell a little bit a minute or two before the close on the headline, and they did very well. So this was a situation where actually a human being could have been fast enough to capitalize on the move, and you don't see that much very, very much anymore.
Right, just because the HFTs did not want to take a position, so to say, so close to the close.
That too, yeah. You'd have a lot of high frequency
on a stock. Couple of interesting things here about this Caterpillar chart here. The first thing is this thing, I mean, it definitely has rallied since the lows in July, but it has got nowhere near the high that it made back in March here around the 115 level. So it's at, 116.95 back in February. So it's kind of had a muted response here on the rally as the market's rocketed into multi-year highs. Cat's just kind of dragged its feet. Looking at the pre-market activity, once everyone fully digested the news, we did make a low last night under the 88, at 88.50, 88.49 has been the low in the pre-market. We are getting a little bit of a bounce there and some major consolidation around the $89 level, so we'll have to keep an eye on those levels here. At least the carnage has stopped for now. Looking at the chart, we've had a couple gap up moves in this stock since it's had this rally in September and part of August. We are looking at 88.30 and 88.66 were our lows on September 12th and September 13th. That coincides with the pre-market low of 88.50. So if in fact that level does hold, we will look for a nice rally in Caterpillar. If not, you are looking at another gap area and really no major support until the 87.41 level.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they do shrug this off and start to buy the stock off the open. Obviously, we're doing the really early show here for you, so we're 2.5 hours. Oh, well, actually, over 2.5 hours before the open. So this is real early analysis here, but we'll have to see what happens. Deere hasn't traded here in the pre-market, but last night it was trading down to 82.32, closed just 82.5 there. That 4 o'clock close was 82.95. Deere always seems to have a little bit of sympathy move with Cat, so I'd be very surprised if Deere isn't down a little bit in sympathy here with Cat today.
This stock has also had a nice rally, but once again is nowhere near the highs that you had back in February in the stock at 89.70. After this run up here, you've had some consolidation in the stock here. It's continued to move up, but very begrudgingly. Let's keep an eye on yesterday's low here at 82.44. Currently trading right around that level in the pre-market. You do have some trades here last night, but very spotty trades. So it doesn't look as of right now that people are willing to smack the Deere based on the Caterpillar news. But let's keep an eye on 82.44 and the 2-day low at 81.71.
Definitely keep an eye on that Caterpillar if you're trading the Deere, because Cat will be your leader there. Red Hat had earnings last night. RHT started trading down on those earnings. Hasn't traded in the pre-market again, like we said. We're very early here this morning. Stock closed 57.54. Was trading down to 55.90. Joel will find how low it got there last night. Slight earnings missed, 28 cents against estimates of 29. So they started to beat the stock up a little bit just on that earnings miss. You do have that low going back 55.64 on August the 30th. If you cut through that, you got another one at 55.03 on August the 14th. Below that level, it starts to open up a little bit. How low did this get last night?
You got a low right after the news came out at 54.77.
Yeah.
After that, you got I guess people rethought their positions, and you got a spike up over 57.50. And now you're getting a lot of consolidation here around the $56 level. Little minor support here at 55.5. Also, that once again reiterate that pre-market low of 54.77. This stock has really been trading in a 56 to 60 range here, going back to the middle of August. The bottom of the range, a cluster of lows here at 55.68, 55.60. So we'll see it opening into support if it can hold that level.
We always talk about Apple versus Google. We kind of say that a lot of traders do pair these two stocks, and that means that they just trade them against each other. We often do talk about the spread. Apple has caught Google a few times. Recently caught Google just about a week and a half ago at the $700 level, but now Google has taken off and Apple consolidated and started to sell off yesterday on the disappointing, I don't know if you can call it disappointing, but the iPhone 5 weekend sales weren't quite as high as some analysts had estimated, and that's why Apple was selling off.
Was it the brawl in the Chinese factory?
maybe it was your wife's. She got the wrong color. Maybe they heard that too. So that could have been the reason as well. But Kramer featured it last night, Apple versus Google, and he was trying to call a top on Apple, saying basically that Apple, when they start talking about $1 trillion market cap, that sounds like a top to him. He was citing the consolidation and just the growth being, obviously maybe starting to slow. So he was concerned, and actually on his comments, I watched the stock. It was closed at $690.79. It actually fell $3 when he was doing the feature Apple did, and Google rallied $1. So he likes Google better than Apple. He's a little late to the party, though. Like I said, a week and a half ago, he could have basically bought bought Google at 700 and shorted Apple at 700. Google has taken off at 749 now, traded 751 last night, up another $2, and Apple is sitting here down 10 points from that level. So now you have a 60-point spread between those two in a week and a half. So he is late to the party. I do like the same trade, but at the same time, I think you're a little bit late too. I'd like to see it pull back in, and maybe you buy Google on a pullback or short Apple on rallies. This thing did blow out if you go back into the dailies back in May. Google or Apple was around 530, and if you go back there, I'll just bring you the chart on Google, same time frame, Google was 630. So this was 100-point spread at one time, and then Apple closed the whole thing. Now it's 60.
Well, I have to give you kudos here on the Google when we finally broke out of that 713 area. Had I believe a double top back there. You said, "Man, there's nothing up there to the all-time high."
Yeah.
And lo and behold, we did make an all-time high yesterday at 750.04. Cleared out those sellers at 750. I'm sure that you still have some more people stuck short this stock. So just looking at the pre-market activity, you have been getting some little consolidation here at 751 area. The high of the move so far this morning's been 751.53. I guess when a stock makes a move like this, really you have very few numbers to focus on, but the all-time high of 749.38, which was made yesterday, was I believe about over 8 points higher than the previous all-time high way back in November of '07. So, I mean, I guess if you're playing it real close to the belt here, you're trying to protect some long-term profits, I'd have perhaps, a 740 sell stop. You look at the chart, you see what Google did the last time it made an all-time high. Took quite a long time to recover, but I don't know. Something tells me this time you're not going to get the swoon that you did before.
It's got a lot more value than it did back in 2007. Back in 2007, the multiple was probably twice as high as it is now. So now it's got a lot of value. I mean, they do everything right over at Google. They're figuring out how to monetize on so many different levels there. I like the stock as well. I actually own it for an investment in my portfolio. I don't own Apple anymore for an investment, but hard to say. I think if you're just trading against each other though, and you're putting it on now, you're a little bit late because it has blown out $60. That's that pair, that spread there in the last week and a half. You want to talk a little bit about the oils too there, Joel. ExxonMobil and Chevron. Chevron with the potential double top up here put in yesterday and actually coinciding with the top sat back on the 17th.
Okay, we'll do that, but the last time we talked about Apple and Google, you threw the big three in there, Facebook. But
Facebook, yeah. Well, we can talk about Facebook too.
We'll go back to that. You do have some interesting formations here in the oils. Chevron and ExxonMobil trade together pretty well. Potential double top in both of the issues. 118.50. There seems. Do you have an algo trying to sell Chevron Corporation?
Somebody does.
Somebody 118.50. Someone's trying to pick a top in here.
118.50 has been huge.
Yeah, huge. So that's major resistance. Doesn't look like we're going to see it here yet, but it's still early in the morning. You also had. Not only do you have a double top at Chevron, you basically have a double close at 117.75 from yesterday and 117.85 from Friday, and also Monday and Friday's lows are also matching at 117.46 to 47. So almost an exact range day there in Chevron. So if you want to sit on your hands and wait to play those levels, you'd be looking at something with a little higher probability trade. ExxonMobil has a similar formation, double top 92.21 to 23, and it's backed up by another double top at 92.40 to 92.50. So someone's trying to put a top in these oils.
Yeah, somebody is. They are looking toppy. Going back over to Facebook there, obviously had a terrible day there yesterday. The stock trading 20.79, closed the previous day up a couple bucks from that point at 23.24, had traded up to. So Facebook really sold off there yesterday. The uptrend is broken here, obviously all in that Barron's front page article that was saying the stock might be only worth $15. Investors were listening and they got nervous and they started selling the stock.
Yeah, well, now you got gaps on the upside, gaps on the downside. But when a stock like this makes a counter trend move here, obviously the trend's been down in Facebook, as we all know. You made a 17.55 low, and then you got to bounce up to 23.37 until Barron's put the zingy on this stock. You do have a 50% retracement in this stock at 20.46. Now we hit 20.36 yesterday and bounced to recover at 20.79. So if this stock is truly a buy, then just retracing part of this up move, I would look for this 20.30.60, 20.36 to put in a series of lows in this area and consolidation. If not, then it sure looks it will be destined to go back under the $20 level and fill the gap between 1958 and 2028 from September 11th and 12th, and I believe that's when Mr. Zuckerberg was talking up the stock.
I think it's key that it holds 22. 20 is just a big psychological number for this stock. I'm sure you have a lot of traders leaning on 20, but those high frequency guys always like to take you through those little obvious areas, so don't be surprised if the thing bottomed at like 1980 and then started to rally off of that too. But definitely not looking as good as it did a few days ago. Sentiment is funny on this stock. Sentiment seems to drive this stock. Everybody hated it at 17, so of course it turns around and starts rallying. Everybody was loving it before the Barron's article, and the Barron's article comes out and boom, everybody gets scared again. So sentiment does drive this. Right now investors are nervous and there could be a little bit of follow through here, so keep an eye on Facebook. Overall market thoughts here before we close the show. We have consolidated now for about 6-7 days right here in the same area that you'd been talking about, this 1452, 1453 area. We close there every day, it seems like. Are we going to get away from that area today?
Well, we certainly tried in the pre-market, despite that negative Caterpillar news. We got up to 14.56 1/4, and now we're right back down at the close. Definitely have to use that Globex high 14.56 1/4 as major resistance. If we can break through that area, you think we'd be going back to 14.62 1/4, a little 6-point move. Coming back on the downside, I'm sure the shorts were on the edge of their seat yesterday as we got down to 14.44.75, looking to smash through that 14.43 1/4 level, which was last week's low and Thursday's low. But those are your parameters. Yesterday's high, 14.54.5, up to the Globex high, and then about 10 points lower, Monday's low. I think we're due to break out of one of those areas. Another consolidation. The question is it another consolidation to move higher? I'd be surprised.
Yeah, well, you got this kind of double bottom put in place. You could say 1443, 1445 area. So that needs to hold. Joel's highlighted some good areas for you there. Starts to cut through this 1443 area again here. Gonna get nervous on the longs, but maybe we can consolidate. We can shrug off this Caterpillar news. On the Apple sell-off yesterday. The Apple sell-off always scares me because it seems like this market's driven by Apple. So if Apple starts to get follow-through, I think this market will start to fall off. Well, that's our show for today. We're with you early here, folks. We'll be back with you at the normal time tomorrow. Have a great trading day. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.